Hi everyone. Here we go. So today we are going to learn something that we use every single day, even if we don't always notice it. Today we're going to learn how to tell time to the nearest minute. Before we begin, think about all the things you do during the day that depend on time. You wake up at a specific time in the morning. School starts at a specific time. Lunch starts at a specific time. Maybe you have soccer practice or football practice, music lessons, or homework time later in the day. Every one of these activities depends on knowing what time it is. Today, we will learn how to read a clock carefully so we can understand the exact time, not just the hour, but the minutes too. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to look at a clock and say the exact time to the nearest minute. We will talk about the parts of a clock, how the hands move, how to count minutes forward and backward, and how to recognize common phrases like half past and quarter to. Throughout today's lesson, I will also show some examples and ask you questions. So make sure you're paying attention and think along with me. So let's start by reviewing what a clock actually is and how it starts. Time helps us measure how long things take and when events happen. Without time, it would be very difficult to organize our day. Imagine if no one knew when school started or when a movie began. Everything would be so confusing. Clocks are tools that help us measure time. The most common clock that we see in classrooms and homes is called an analog clock, which is this. This is called an analog clock. This is the kind of clock that has numbers from 1 to 12 and moving hands. Each number on the clock represents a position in time. The clock moves in a circular pattern and the hands rotate around the center. When we read a clock, we are really answering two questions. What hour is it? And how many minutes have passed since that hour? For example, let's say if school starts at 8:30, it means it is 30 minutes after 8 o'clock. Today, we will practice reading times like 3:12, 4:28, and 6:47. These are examples of telling time to the nearest minute. But before we can do that, we need to understand the most important parts of a clock. So let's take a closer look at this analog clock. A clock has several important features, but the two most important parts are the hands. The first hand is called the hour hand. This hand is shorter. This is the hour hand, and it moves slowly. It tells us what hour it is. If the hour hand points to the number, let's say 10, it means that the time is somewhere in the 10 o'clock hour. That means the time is between 10 and 10:59. The second hand will focus on the minute, the longer hand. For example, let's say the minute hand points to 2 in this case. That means 10 minutes, 10 minutes. When it points to 3, that means 15 minutes. 4, 20 minutes. And then 5, 25 minutes. And then 6 is 30 minutes. So there's a 5-minute gap in between. That means these small dashes you see in between, each represents 1 minute. Because we start over here with 0, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and 5 minutes. And then 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, and then another 10 minutes. But when we tell time to the nearest minute, like I said before, we also count the small tick marks. in between the numbers. These are really important. They represent one number. Oh, sorry. Understanding these parts of the clock is the first beginning step toward reading time accurately. Now, let's learn how to read both of the hands, the hour and minute hand, together. When we read a clock, we always follow a simple two-step process. First, we look at the hour hand. The hour hand tells us which hour we are currently in. But remember, the hour hand is often between two numbers. When this happens, we look at the number it has already passed. For example, if the hour hand is in between, let's say the smaller hand, instead of 11 and 12, it is in between 3 and 4, that means the time is still in the 3 o'clock hour if it was in between 3 and 4, because it passed 3, but it has not passed 4. Next, we look at the minute hand. The minute hand tells us exactly how many minutes have passed since the hour started. We count around the clock until we reach the minute hand. So for example, if the minute hand points at 8 in this example, that means 40 minutes have passed in the full hour. So if the hour hand was between 3 and 4, and the minute hand is at 6, the time would be 8, not 6, 8. Then the time would be 3:40. A helpful way to remember this is hour first, minutes second. So let's practice this idea together as we learn about minutes past the hour. Minutes past means we are counting forward from the hour that has just started. For example, if the clock just turned 2, the next minute would be 2:01. Then 2:02, 2:03, and so on forth. The minute hand moves around the clock counting these minutes. Each number on the clock represents 5 minutes, so we can quickly count by 5s. Here, we could go back here, okay? Let's start. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. There are 60 minutes in an hour. Let's see if we get 60 minutes in total. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. We go back to 60 again. So when the minute hand reaches the 12 again, let's say this minute hand, it reaches 12, that means 1 full hour has passed. That means the clock moves to the next hour. Understanding minutes past helps us describe time clearly and accurately, which means correctly. Let's look at another way to describe time. Sometimes instead of saying how many minutes past an hour it is, we say how many hours before the next hour. This is called minutes to the hour. For example, let me open a slide. I will draw a quick clock for you. Okay. So this is an analog clock. Okay, I want you all to write this in your notes as well. Analog clock. Try to make it more round. Okay. This is called an analog clock. Okay, write this in your notes. Analog clock. So, where is this? Here, I will draw the hour hand in marker. I'll draw that in red. So, let's imagine the clock shows 4:50, okay? So 4, that means it's in between 4 and 5. This will be the, let me draw that smaller. This will be the hour hand. And then this will be the minute hand. So what did we say? 4:50, yes. So right about there. Yeah, like this. So this says 4:50. Instead of saying 50 minutes past 4, because it is 50 minutes and past 4, we could also say 10 minutes to 5. So what does that mean? 10 minutes, because there's 60 minus 50 equals 10 minutes. So before it gets to 5, there are 10 minutes left, which means we could say 10 minutes to 5. Why can we say this? Again, because there are only 10 minutes left until the clock reaches 5 o'clock. So to do this, we count backwards from the next hour, like I just did. This way of describing time is very common in everyday conversation. Sometimes you might hear someone say 10 minutes to 3, 5 minutes till noon. Noon means, let me write this. This is also important. Noon means the afternoon at 12. This is what noon means. Write this down, that way you will not forget. Okay? Learning this method helps us understand time in multiple ways. This is so much easier. Like 10 minutes to 5 is better, is more understandable than saying 50 minutes past 4. So now let's move on to half past and quarter times. So there are 3 special time phrases that people use very often. The first one is called, we have to pay attention to what I'm saying, okay? First one is called half past. Half past means 30 minutes after the hour. Half of 60 minutes is 30, which is why it is called half past. So, if the time is 2:30, let's say, we can say half past 2. The second phrase is quarter past. A quarter means 1/4 of something. Let me write this down as well for you. Here, first let us go over the 3 main special phrases. Okay, I'll write this for you. Okay, I hope you can see this. 3 special times. So the first time is called half past. Half past. I will draw this for you now. $12, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If you ever get confused on how to draw a clock, just remember 12 and 6 will always be on the same line. They will go in a straight line. And then 9 vertically. And then 9 and 3 will make almost a horizontal line. These 4 are your main points, okay? So let's continue with the example I said before. Let's say it was 2:30. Oh no, wait, let's write that neater. 2:30. Okay, so that means our hour hand would be in between 2 and 3, and then our minute hand would be at 6, because that means 30. 6 times 5 is 30. And if you don't understand the multiplication or the numbers, please let me know. We can go over that lesson again. So now that it's at 2:30, I can't see anything here. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, now, since that is 2:30, we can also say half we can also say half.
Look at Harika, get up. I will write some words here. You have to read these words. I will ask each and one person to get up and you have to read the words that I'm writing here. Okay? Yeah. You are also write with me. Okay? When you have to write, when you are writing a word, you have to utter that word. You have to say and write. You have to say and write. Okay? Yeah. Get up.
Okay. So half past.
Yeah. Read this one. What? Not me. N-E. Me not. E means I go ale. Baiti. Anal. Anal. Okay. Next word. Look at here. N-A. N-I.
So we will.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. So we'll do half past 2. Okay. Why will we say half past 2? Because half past means 1/2. So 30 minutes is equal to 1/2 of 60 minutes. Because 60 the slash means division. I don't have the symbol, but 60 divided by 30 it means that is equal to 2. That means it's equal to 2. So write this down. That way you have this as reference. And then let's go to the second special phrase. Okay? The second phrase is called quarter past. This one is going to be a little bit confusing, so make sure you write these down clearly. That way you can refer to this in the future. Okay, here. Quarter past. I'll give you guys 1 minute to copy that down. Okay. So now we are at quarter past. A quarter. Okay, here. A quarter. No. Okay. A quarter means 1/4. So not 1/2. That means 1/4 of something. So since an hour has 60 minutes, 1/4 of an hour is 15 minutes. Because 60 divided by 15 is equal to 4. Here. So let me write it the same way I wrote it there. How about that? So 15 minutes is equal to 1/4 of 60 minutes here. We'll just say quarter past 3. Let's do that as an example, okay? So 15 minutes is equal to 1/4 of 60 minutes. Because again, 60 divided by 15, that is equal to 4. So now let's draw the clock again. Here. Again, we are going to draw the numbers. 12, 1, 3. Okay, so there we go. Again, I will label the hour hand as this light blue color. So 3:15. What does that mean? I'll give you guys 1 minute. I'll give you a hint. It starts with 3. Think about it. Think about what we just wrote down here. Okay, now it means 3:15. Because we established here that 15 minutes means 1/4. 1/4 means 1 quarter. Means 1/4. Okay? So the hour hand will be slightly in between 3 and 4. And then we said red and 15. 15 will be at exactly 3. They'll be really close together. So this is the second phrase, quarter past. And then there is the third phrase, which is the same thing as quarter past, except it is quarter to. Here, I'll write it down, that way you don't get confused again. Quarter to, give me 1 second. Quarter to. So, quarter to means 15 minutes before the next hour. So, before we start drawing the clock, let's establish what we did here. So, this is going to, let's say it's quarter, we have to draw quarter to 5, okay? So we already know 15 minutes is equal to 1/4 of 60 minutes. And 1/4 means a quarter. And we know 60 divided by 15 equals 4. Okay, we have to memorize this. We have to really understand this. Here it is. Okay. Great. So now let's draw the clock. Wait, let me draw that better. Okay, that can be our clock. So 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay? So again, the hour hand will be in blue. But before we draw anything, let's not writing. Where is it? Here it is. So just like how we said 3:15 means quarter past 3, what do we think the time is for quarter to 5 if it's the opposite? I'll give you guys 1 minute to think about this. Okay. I gave you guys enough time to think. Quarter to 5 means 4:45. Now let me explain how we got 4:45. So we're not saying it's quarter past 5. So it means we haven't reached 5 p.m. So, or 5, just 5, not p.m. or a.m., just 5. So we can't say it's 5:15 because it's in quarter to 5. That means we're trying to get to 5. So we subtract 15 minutes because it's saying quarter. So we go 5, 10, here, 5, 10, 15. We land at 9. And that is equal to 45 minutes. Okay, so let's depict that over here. 4:45. That means 4 would be in between 4 and 5. And then the minute hand, which will be in red, will be at 9 because it's 4:45. These are the 3 main phrases that you need to understand when it comes to time. I did not. Okay, here. I'll give you guys an extra minute to write down. Let me. Here, this is the largest I can make, but I'll give you guys 1 minute to copy down everything else you need. Okay, I hope I can move on. Yeah, I'll move on. Okay, so now let's go back to practicing how to tell time, now that we learned all the terms. Okay, so let's look at a real example together. So not 3:45, but let's look at this clock on the left. So this clock is saying 12:06, 12:06, let's just say that. So the hour hand will be in between the numbers 11 and 12, which it's really close to 12 here. That tells us that the time is still in the 12 o'clock hour. Now let's look at the minute hand. The minute hand is pointing at the number in between the numbers 1 and 2. Remember, each number represents 5 minutes, so we can count by 5s. 5. But then we have the tick marks aren't visible here, but let me go back to previous example here, where all the tick marks are shown. Let's just say 5, it'll be 6, and then 7, which is how we get 12:07. So this example, let's go back here. This is how we determine the final and exact time using both the hour hand and the minute hand. Okay, now let's practice over here. So let's use the clock that we already made up here. Okay, let's say that. When we look at the clock, wait, before I give you the answer, what time is it saying? Okay, if you said 4:50, that is correct. So when we look at the clock showing 4:50, the minute hand points at the number 10. This tells us that 50 minutes have passed since the hour began. Okay? So now we are going to check the hour hand. Even though it's closer to 5, it has not reached 5 yet. It is still in the 4 o'clock hour. that means the correct time is still 4:50. This example also helps us see how the hour hand slowly moves between numbers as the minutes pass. As the clock approaches 5 o'clock, the hour hand moves closer and closer to the number 5. Understanding this movement can help us avoid mistakes in the future when we are reading time. Okay? So today we learn many important ideas about telling time. We learned that clocks help us measure time so that we can organize our daily activities, like we used in the examples above. We also learned how to read both of the hands, the hour and the minute hands, together to find the exact time. We practiced counting minutes past the hour and minutes before the next hour. So, for homework, I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples of clocks. Okay. After today's lesson, you should be able to answer these couple of questions about time. And I don't want you guys to just forget this lesson. We use time every single day. And now that you have the skills to read it carefully and properly, I want you to use it to the best of your ability. Okay, I will write your homework. So I'm going to draw 3 different clocks. Okay? After you look at a clock, you need to, after looking at this clock, okay, so you need to tell me. Okay, so what time is it? Okay, first off, what time is it? Second, describe the time using one of the common phrases. The common phrases are half past, quarter past, and quarter to. Or if you don't want to say those, you could also say 10 minutes till or 20 minutes till a certain time. Okay? Using common phrases or using the exact minutes. And that's all you need to do for each of these questions, okay? What time is it? And describe the time using one of the common phrases using the exact minutes. So I'm going to draw another clock for you. Okay, another one right here. Same thing. Okay. Right here, again, second piece of the homework. And then I will draw another one last clock for you, okay? That's 4. Okay. 7, 8. Okay. One last clock. Here, this one will be a little more tricky. And then I'll draw the ticks for this one, okay? This is pointing to this one right there. And then this is it. This is your homework. This is the full lesson I have for you all today. Here, I'll go back up here. First, I'll go to the first one. Okay, second one. Here's the final one. Okay, I will also send this in the group, but thank you for listening today, and I hope you all cooperated and participated. But make sure that you still use time, because now you have learned the skills to read it, and that is very important. So make sure you use your time management skills now that you know how to read a clock properly, more accurately, like try practicing the lessons. Don't just like listen to it. Try like using them in your daily life. Okay, that is all I had today. I hope you all understood the session. If there are any questions, please let us know. We will try our best to answer your questions as soon as we can. Otherwise,